Mario C, given that you had so much exposure with the Davy D's, the Jam Master J's, etc., what was it like creatively getting into a different circle uh, officially with the Hura?
It was incredible, man. Working with Mario, we really worked good together on that record. At first, I didn't know how we would work together because his style was a little different than my style. But when we got together, we kind of just did both styles together, and we came up with some dope ideas to make this record. So, I'm glad I worked with Mario on that record because he brought out a different style of me than what I would have brought out just me working on it myself, you know? So came out pretty good.
And speaking of differences too, that was through Capitol Grand Royal's parent company at the time, and after being in the Def Jam system for so long, through Davy D and Afros, etc. What did you notice that were the strengths and weaknesses of Capitol versus the strengths and weaknesses or similarities and differences of Def Jam versus Capitol at this time?
Definitely urban. Capital did not know how to work a hip hop record. Um, Beastie Boys just fell in their lap. They didn't know how to work that to urban, black radio or black whatever. They know how to work it in the alternative space, the white space. Um, they did not have good urban representation there. All their hip hop records were commercially records. Groups, MC Hammer, Young MC, Tone Low, Beastie Boys. The Hurrah album was not commercially like that. It was more hardcore than those records. So the difference would be is that Def Jam would know how to work a record like that more than Capitol would. Capitol would know how to work a crossover record better than Def Jam. And Def Jam would know how to work a street record better than Capitol.
Interesting, because of all the I knew several, but not probably all of, because they didn't do only rap on Grand Royal, but yours in particular, I was always curious about that because I really liked the Hura, but I liked your other stuff as well. But I was always like, I remember them getting you a lot of exposure in some of the skateboard magazines because my friends would be like, "Oh, Soren, they wrote about Hurricane in this magazine or whatever."
Right.
But I also didn't see as much in the rap publication, so I was just always dis-
Exactly.
disappointed, confused, didn't understand, whatever. So
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. They didn't know how to work the black magazine, the black radio. They didn't have anybody know how to work that space.
yeah, which is ironic given that the Beastie Boys had been in the space for so long.
Yeah, and if you remember, once the Beastie Boys got over the Capitol, they wasn't even in the black radio no more, like they was with License to Ill.
Yeah,
Yeah. Once they got to Capitol, they were always, on the alternative hip
I was
hop
gonna say
crossover.
alternative. Yeah,
Right. Crossover. Yeah.
interesting. Huh. Oh, well, man, we've been talking more than 50 minutes already. I know you said about 45. So,
Oh, we can go for another 10 minutes.
okay,
You-
cool. Well, let's get into we'll skip a few things and maybe we'll do another day for another time. But on Don't Sleep, uh, I really, really enjoyed that record a lot. And the one of the many things I liked about it was how you had to make things better and connect back to back because going from the Talib Kweli to then Xzibit and Big Gip, uh,
Right.
I grew up loving and listening to rap from all over the country and all different regions, styles, eras, what have you. And with Don't Sleep and those two records in particular, I really appreciated and enjoyed how you had them back to back sequence wise. So
Mhm.
how did that end up being the way that you did it?
It's like I sequenced that record probably about 10 times before I finally came to the final decision on how it needs to be sequenced. Because it's so much mixture on that record. You know, from Tali, Make Things Better to Xzibit Connect. Then I got, Scott Wheeler, We Will Rock You, to Black Thought and the Ad Rock kicking wicked rhymes. And it's just Faith Evans singing, Cheryl Lynn to me. It was just so much all over the place. I had to sequence it like 10 times. Then I finally said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Make Things Better, and then we're going to go straight into Connect. Those are one of my two favorite joints that I did on that record. So I said, we got to hit them hard, quick. So it wasn't a plan for it to be like that. Like I said, I did it 10 times. So probably 10 times. But it seemed like that mixture worked more than any of the other ones that I tried.
And in the year 2000, at that point, we'd had a long time, probably a decade or so, of getting a lot of collaborations on records.
Right.
And for you, what was the process like for you when people knew you were doing a record? Were you hitting everybody up, or did the people hear about it and reach out to you? Like, how was that working?
Uh, People that I wanted to get on the record with me, I would just hit them up. I have a list of people that I want to do a song with. I hit them up and, yo, you want to do a record? MC Breed, no, sorry, he was on her album. Not MC Breed, Black Thought, you know, always one of my favorite rappers back then when the Roots used to open up for the Beastie Boys on tour, on Check Your Air tour, So I was like, yo, I gotta get Black Thought on this record. Black Thought, okay, who can I put on working with Black Thought? Ad Rock, let me call Ad Rock because we can bounce off each other really good, you know. Then, I just was coming up with ideas and different artists to get on the record,
Okay.
pretty much.
And also doing a lot of production. Um, how did you? Again, one of the many things that has always impressed me about your career and you as a person was from. I didn't realize it was in the '70s, but even from the early to mid '80s with the House Crew and all that stuff, and now you're already into the 2000s with Don't Sleep, and still doing beats and still doing all these different things. Uh, what do you think has been one of the things that's enabled you to evolve and adapt so much through all these different eras and business evolutions, creative evolutions, crew evolutions, all these different things? How have you been able to like sustain that and still keep that going for decades?
I just think the love for it keeps me, doing it. It's the love. If I didn't love it, then I wouldn't be able to adapt or even try to adapt. I just be like, nah, I'm done with this. Forget about it. I'm not doing nothing else. But I love music so much. I love hip hop so much that I always want to get involved and I always want to try to create and make something new, you know, even if it's just for myself. Even if nobody's checking for me or checking for what I'm doing, I still got the love for it, so I can do it for myself. And if someone else enjoys it, that's great. So I think what I've been able to do throughout my career is being able not put myself in a box. You know, I never like to put myself in a box. So if I go outside the box, people are like, "What in the world?" So that's why I always, added some rock, added some hard rap, little alternative, all under my umbrella. So when it come down for me, when it comes down for me to do something, it's not something that I'm totally blind on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, pretty
That
much.
makes sense. All right. And then what that you're working on now? Do you want to tell people about or let people know?
Well, I have my own app right now called Jay's Hat Radio, which is a 24-hour classic hip hop app, and you can also look at performances on there. I got two turntables set up in my attic, and I have different people come and perform while I'm on the turntables. And they actually put on Jam Master Jay's hat, and they perform while I'm DJing. That's why we call it Jay's Hat Radio. So I've had everybody from Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Salt and Pepper, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, AZ, Lady of Rage, Kid and Play. I've had over 40 artists come by so far and perform in my house. This was prior to COVID. And the app, Jay's Hat Radio, download the app. It's all clean versions, so you can play it around your kids. You can play it loud in the park. We make sure we put all clean versions on it. 24-hour classic hip hop. I mean, I'm working on that nonstop. And I'm also working on three artists that I'm working with, younger artists. One named D.O.C, which I just directed his video, and that's available on YouTube. D.O.C, D-U-B-C-I-T-Y. Also working on my niece called Prima Dawn. I'm working on her stuff, and also another rapper out of Atlanta named Samson, a young white also rapper. Besides those three rappers, I may cook up some of my old stuff and release it. That's never been released before. So
Well, there it is. Well, man, DJ Hurricane, thank you for coming through to Unique Access, man. It's an honor.
yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
It would be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Your MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
There's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.